Our HOA president Patricia hated my pregnant wife sitting on our porch. One afternoon, she stormed over, screaming about violations. What Patricia didn't know, my security camera was recording everything live. I watched in horror from my office as she grabbed Emma's arm and tried to drag her off the chair. My wife screamed in pain, clutching her belly. Our baby's life was in danger. And Patricia had no idea I was watching every second. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The summer heat pressed down on Maple Grove like a heavy blanket, suffocating and relentless. I sat in my home office on the second floor, staring at my computer screen, trying to focus on the quarterly report spread across my desk. But concentration was impossible. My mind kept drifting to the woman I loved more than life itself, my wife, Emma, who was downstairs on our front porch, 7 months pregnant with our first child. Emma wasn't just pregnant. She was fighting for every day, every hour. 3 weeks ago, Dr. Chen had delivered news that shattered our world into a million pieces: severe preeclampsia, a condition where the mother's blood pressure skyrockets to dangerous levels, threatening both her life and the baby's. Complete bed rest, Dr. Chen had said, her voice grave and unyielding. Emma cannot experience any stress whatsoever. No physical exertion. No emotional upheaval. Nothing. One spike in her blood pressure could trigger seizures, organ failure, or force us to deliver the baby immediately. At 7 months, your daughter's survival chances would be compromised. Do you understand what I'm telling you, Mr. Morrison? Any stress could kill them both. Those words haunted me every waking moment. They whispered through my dreams. They turned every breath into a prayer. So Emma spent her days confined to our home, and the prison of our 4 walls was slowly crushing her spirit. She was a woman who loved gardens and long walks, who thrived on sunshine and fresh air. Keeping her locked inside felt cruel, inhumane. So I'd compromised. I set up our front porch like a sanctuary, a comfortable lounge chair with extra cushions to support her back and swollen ankles, a small side table with water, healthy snacks, and the books she could never quite focus on, and an umbrella to shield her from the harsh afternoon sun. And I'd installed a camera. One of those smart security cameras with crystal clear video, 2-way audio, and motion detection that sent alerts straight to my phone. I could check on her anytime, talk to her, make sure she was safe while I worked upstairs. That camera would save everything that mattered. It was a Thursday afternoon, the kind of day where the heat shimmered off the pavement and made the air feel thick as soup. I was reviewing a particularly tedious spreadsheet when my phone buzzed. The camera's motion sensor had triggered. I glanced at the notification, expecting to see a delivery person or maybe our neighbor's cat. Instead, my blood turned to ice. A woman stood on our porch, and even through the small phone screen, I could see the rage radiating from her like heat waves. Patricia Holbrook. The HOA president, the bane of our existence for the past 8 months. Patricia was in her late 50s, with steel gray hair cut in a severe bob, thin lips that seemed permanently pursed in disapproval, and eyes that could freeze lava. She wore her position like a crown, wielding the HOA rulebook like a weapon against anyone who dared step out of line. Since the day we moved in, she'd made our lives miserable. Our grass was too tall by a 1/4 inch, citation. Our mailbox was black instead of the approved charcoal gray, citation. We'd planted roses in our front garden without submitting the proper landscaping modification form, citation. Emma had left our welcome mat out past 8 p.m. one evening, citation. Every week brought a new violation, a new fine, a new battle. I'd learned to ignore her, to pay the ridiculous fines and move on. But this was different. This wasn't about grass or mailboxes. I turned up the volume on my phone, and Patricia's voice filled my office like poison gas. I don't care what your doctor says. You're violating HOA Code 7.3, subsection B. No loitering on front porches between the hours of 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. It creates an unsightly appearance and degrades property values. You need to get inside immediately. Emma's voice came through the speaker, weak and trembling, and hearing that fear in her tone made something primal and violent wake up inside me. Mrs. Holbrook, please. I'm not loitering. I'm just sitting. I'm 7 months pregnant. I have severe preeclampsia. My doctor says I need bed rest, but she also said I need fresh air and sunlight for the baby's health. I can't stay locked inside all day. I'll go insane. Please, I'm not hurting anyone. The rules exist for everyone. Patricia shrieked, her face turning an alarming shade of purple. I don't care if you're pregnant with quintuplets. Rules are rules. Property values are property values. You are making this neighborhood look like a slum with your constant porch sitting. I've received 3 complaints from other residents about your loitering. That was a lie. I knew it was a lie. Our neighbors loved Emma. They'd been bringing her meals and checking on her constantly. The only person who had a problem was Patricia herself. Mrs. Holbrook, I'm begging you, Emma said, and I could hear tears in her voice now. Please don't make me go inside. The doctor said fresh air is important. I promise I'm not violating any rules. I'm just sitting. I'm not bothering anyone. You're bothering me. And as HOA president, that's all that matters. Now get up and get inside before I have you forcibly removed and your house fined $1,000. I was already running. I slammed my laptop shut and bolted from my office, taking the stairs 3 at a time. My heart hammered against my ribs like it was trying to escape. The phone was still in my hand, the camera feed still playing, and what I saw next stopped my heart completely. Ma'am, please don't touch me, Emma's voice rose in panic. Patricia reached forward, her face twisted with self-righteous fury, and grabbed Emma's arm. Time seemed to slow down. I watched through that tiny screen as Patricia's fingers clamped around my wife's bicep like a vice. I watched Emma try to pull away, her other hand flying protectively to her swollen belly. I watched Patricia yank, trying to haul my pregnant wife out of her chair. Let go of me. Emma screamed, real terror in her voice now. You'll move when I say you'll move. Patricia shrieked back, pulling harder. I was flying through the house now, crashing through the living room, my vision tinged with red. I could hear Emma crying, could hear Patricia's voice rising to a manic pitch, and every second felt like an eternity. I burst through the front door like an explosion. Get your goddamn hands off my wife. Patricia spun around, her face still purple with rage, her hand still gripping Emma's arm. Emma's eyes found mine, and they were filled with tears and terror and something else, pain. Real, physical pain. Mr. Morrison, your wife is in clear violation of. I said get off. I closed the distance in 3 massive strides and physically put myself between them, breaking Patricia's grip on Emma's arm. My hands were shaking. Every muscle in my body was coiled like a spring. Don't you ever touch her again. Don't you ever come near her again. Emma was gasping behind me, her breathing rapid and shallow. David. David, something's wrong. My heart stopped. Just stopped beating. I turned to her, and the blood drained from my face. Emma was pale, her lips had a bluish tint, and both her hands were pressed against her belly. Tears streamed down her face. What? Baby, what's wrong? I knelt beside her chair, taking her ice-cold hands in mine. It hurts, the baby, oh God, David, it hurts so much. Something's wrong with Lily. Her voice climbed to a panicked sob, and I watched in horror as her whole body began to tremble. We're going to the hospital. Right now. Hold on, baby. I started to lift her, cradling her as gently as I could despite my shaking hands. She's faking. Patricia's voice cut through the moment like a knife. She's just being dramatic to get out of the citation. I know her type. Manipulative, lazy, always looking for special treatment because she's pregnant. Well, pregnancy doesn't exempt anyone from HOA rules. I turned on her. I don't know what Patricia saw in my face at that moment, but she actually stumbled backward, her eyes going wide. If anything happens to my wife or my daughter because of what you just did, I will destroy you, I said, my voice low and deadly calm. I will make sure everyone knows exactly what you did. My camera caught every single second. Every word you said. Every moment you had your hands on her. The video is already backed up to the cloud. You're done, Patricia. Done. For the first time since I'd known her, Patricia Holbrook looked uncertain. Afraid, even. I didn't wait for her response. I carried Emma to our car, placed her as gently as possible in the passenger seat, and drove to the hospital like a maniac. I ran red lights. I drove on the shoulder when traffic was too slow. I kept one hand on Emma's leg while she cried and cradled her belly, whispering desperately to our daughter. Hold on, Lily. Please hold on. Mommy loves you. Daddy loves you. Please be okay. The emergency room was chaos. The moment I carried Emma through the doors, nurses swarmed us. Someone grabbed a wheelchair. Someone else was shouting for Dr. Chen. They whisked Emma away, and I was left standing in the waiting area, my shirt soaked with sweat, my hands still trembling, feeling more helpless than I'd ever felt in my entire life. Dr. Chen appeared 15 minutes later. Those 15 minutes felt like 15 years. Her face was grave, and when she looked at me, I saw something in her eyes that made my knees weak. Mr. Morrison, I need you to listen very carefully. Emma's blood pressure is 180/120. That's stroke territory. The physical altercation and the stress from the assault have triggered a severe hypertensive crisis. Her body is shutting down. We're doing everything we can to stabilize her, but I need to be honest with you, if we can't get her blood pressure down in the next 2 hours, we'll have no choice but to perform an emergency C-section. But the baby, Lily, she's only 7 months. I know. Dr. Chen's voice was gentle but firm. At 30 weeks, her chances of survival are good, but she'll need extensive NICU care. There could be complications, respiratory problems, developmental delays, infections. But if we don't deliver her and Emma's blood pressure keeps rising, we could lose them both. Do you understand what I'm telling you? The hallway tilted. I grabbed the wall to keep from falling. Do whatever you need to do. Whatever it takes. Just save them. Please. I'm begging you. Save my wife. Save my daughter. Dr. Chen squeezed my shoulder. We're going to fight like hell. Emma's strong. So is Lily. But I need you to prepare yourself for the possibility that this might not end the way we want it to. Those words nearly destroyed me. They let me sit with Emma after they'd stabilized her enough to move her to a private room. She looked so small in that hospital bed, swallowed by white sheets and attached to what seemed like a dozen different machines. Monitors beeped. And 4 dripped clear fluid into her arm. A blood pressure cuff inflated and deflated automatically every 15 minutes. Emma's eyes were closed, her face drawn in gray. I took her hand, it was cold, so cold, and pressed my forehead against it. I'm so sorry, I whispered. I should have been faster. I should have stopped her before she touched you. This is my fault. Emma's eyes fluttered open. Not your fault. Her voice was barely audible. You saved me. You came. You have to fight, Emma. You and Lily both have to fight. I can't lose you. I can't. You're my whole world. Both of you. Please. A tear rolled down her cheek. Scared, so scared, David. I know, baby. I know. But you're the strongest person I've ever met. You're going to get through this. We all are. But as I sat there holding her hand, listening to the machines monitor her failing body, I wasn't sure I believed my own words. The hours crawled by with agonizing slowness. Every time a machine beeped, my heart stopped. Every time a nurse came in, I braced myself for the worst news imaginable. Emma drifted in and out of consciousness, mumbling sometimes, crying sometimes, always with one hand on her belly, trying to soothe our daughter through her own pain. At hour 3, Dr. Chen came in to check Emma's vitals. Her expression was neutral, but I'd learned to read the subtle signs, the tightness around her eyes, the way she pressed her lips together. "How is she?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "Her blood pressure is starting to come down. Slowly, very slowly. We're at 165/110 now. Still dangerous, but moving in the right direction. Is Lily okay?" Dr. Chen moved to the fetal monitor and studied the readout. "Lily's heart rate is elevated but steady. She's stressed, her mother's stress hormones are flooding her system, but she's hanging in there. She's a fighter." "Like her mom," I whispered. "Like both her parents," Dr. Chen corrected. "Mr. Morrison, I need to ask you something. What exactly happened before you brought Emma in?" I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and showed her the video. Dr. Chen watched in silence, her expression growing darker with each passing second. When it ended, she looked at me with something like fury in her eyes. "This woman assaulted your wife. A pregnant woman on bed rest for a life-threatening condition. She could have killed them both. I know. You need to report this to the police. This isn't just an HOA dispute anymore. This is assault. Possibly attempted manslaughter if the DA wants to push it. I will. As soon as I know Emma and Lily are safe." Dr. Chen nodded. "Keep that video safe. And Mr. Morrison. For what it's worth, you did everything right. You got her here in time. That might be what saves them." At hour 6, a miracle happened. Emma's blood pressure dropped to 150/100. Still high, but out of the immediate danger zone. At hour 8, it hit 140/95. At hour 10, Dr. Chen came in with something that almost looked like a smile. "We're at 135/90. She's stabilizing. We're not out of the woods yet, but this is a very good sign." I could have collapsed with relief. Instead, I buried my face in Emma's shoulder and cried for the first time since this nightmare began. Emma's hand came up weakly to stroke my hair. "We're okay," she whispered. "We're going to be okay." They kept Emma in the hospital for 12 days. 12 days of constant monitoring, medication adjustments, and restricted visitors. 12 days of me sleeping in an uncomfortable chair beside her bed, refusing to leave except to shower and change clothes. 12 days of watching Emma's belly grow and feeling Lily kick and hoping, praying that we'd get to meet her under better circumstances. During those 12 days, I took action. First, I went to the police station and filed a formal report. The officer who took my statement watched the video 3 times, his expression growing more disgusted each time. "This is one of the clearest cases of assault I've ever seen," he said. "With this video evidence and your wife's medical records documenting the harm caused, the DA will definitely press charges. I'd be shocked if this doesn't end in a conviction." "Good," I said coldly. "I want her prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law." Next, I contacted a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, Marcus Chen, the best personal injury attorney in the state. I'd gone to college with his brother. When I explained the situation and showed him the video, his eyes lit up. "David, this is a slam-dunk case. Assault, emotional distress, endangered welfare of a child, medical expenses, we're talking significant damages here. Both criminal and civil. This woman is going down hard. I don't care about the money, Marcus. I care about justice. You'll get both," he promised. Then I turned my attention to the court of public opinion. Late one night, while Emma slept peacefully for the first time in days, I sat in her hospital room with my laptop and crafted a detailed post. I attached the video, all 5 minutes and 32 seconds of it, and wrote a simple, factual account of what had happened. I posted it to our neighborhood Facebook group first. Then to the city's main community page. Then to every local community forum I could find. The title was simple: Our HOA president assaulted my pregnant wife. This is what happened. I watched the post go live, and then I closed my laptop. I didn't want to see the responses yet. I just wanted to sit with Emma and feel grateful that she was still breathing, that Lily was still moving inside her, that we were all still here. By morning, the post had exploded. My phone was on fire with notifications. The Facebook post had been shared over 500 times. The comments section was filled with outrage, support, and calls for Patricia's resignation. People were tagging local news stations. Someone had started a change.org petition to remove Patricia from the HOA board. It already had over 1,000 signatures. The local news picked up the story by noon. By evening, it had gone regional. By the next morning, it was national. Pregnant woman assaulted by HOA president over porch sitting, read the headlines. The video played on loop on news channels, accompanied by interviews with medical experts explaining how dangerous Emma's condition was, how Patricia's actions could have killed both her and the baby. My phone rang constantly. Reporters wanted interviews. Neighbors wanted to express their support. The HOA board members, everyone except Patricia, called to apologize and assure me that action was being taken. One call stood out. It was from Janet Reeves, the HOA vice president. Mr. Morrison, I am calling on behalf of the entire board to offer our deepest, most sincere apologies for what happened to your wife. We've held an emergency meeting. Patricia Holbrook has been removed as president effective immediately. We're also voting to dissolve several of the more absurd rules she implemented, including anything related to front porch usage. Additionally, we're discussing legal action against Patricia personally for bringing such negative attention and potential liability to the HOA. What she did was inexcusable, and we are all horrified. Thank you, I said, my voice hard. But I want more than her removal. I want her in jail. Many of us do too, Janet said quietly. You have our full support. The hate mail started around day 8. Anonymous messages telling me I was ruining an innocent woman's life over nothing. Phone calls from people calling me vindictive, cruel, a bully who was using my wife's pregnancy as a weapon. One letter, actually handwritten and mailed, called me a monster and said I should be ashamed of myself for destroying Patricia's reputation. I read each one with cold detachment and then deleted or threw them away. I didn't care about Patricia's reputation. I didn't care about her life or her feelings or her future. She'd nearly killed my wife and daughter over the location of a chair. She deserved everything coming to her and more. Emma saw one of the messages before I could delete it. Her face crumpled. Maybe we should stop, she whispered. Maybe this has gone too far. No. I took her hands in mine. Emma, listen to me. If we let her walk away from this, she'll do it to someone else. Maybe their wife won't make it to the hospital in time. Maybe their baby won't survive. I can't live with that. Can you? Emma was quiet for a long time, her hand resting on her belly where Lily was doing what felt like gymnastics. Finally, she shook her head. No. You're right. We fight. On day 12, Dr. Chen cleared Emma to go home with strict conditions. Complete bed rest still applies, she said firmly. No visitors except immediate family. No stress of any kind. Your blood pressure is stable now, but it could spike again at any moment. You're not out of danger, Emma. Neither is Lily. The next 8 weeks are critical. If you can make it to 38 weeks, we can induce labor safely. But if there's another incident like the one that brought you here. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. I understand, Emma said quietly. We drove home slowly, carefully. Emma sat in the passenger seat with both hands on her belly, staring out the window like she was seeing the world for the first time. When we turned onto our street, we both gasped. Our front porch was covered, absolutely covered, in flowers, cards, balloons, and gifts. There were dozens of bouquets, stuffed animals for Lily, care packages with meals and snacks. A huge banner hung across our porch reading, "We love you Emma and baby Lily," in rainbow letters. Neighbors stood on their lawns, and as our car passed, they applauded. Emma burst into tears. I can't believe this. Everyone loves you, I said, my own voice thick with emotion. Everyone's been worried. Patricia's house, just 5 doors down, was dark and silent. A "for sale" sign had appeared on her lawn. The curtains were drawn. It looked abandoned, empty, dead. Good, I thought viciously. Good. The criminal case moved forward with surprising speed. The DA assigned it to a prosecutor named Rachel Kim, a woman with a reputation for taking domestic violence and assault cases seriously. This is personal for me, she told us during our first meeting. I'm pregnant with my second child. When I watched that video, when I saw what she did to you, Emma, I wanted to scream. No one has the right to put their hands on a pregnant woman. Period. I'm going to throw the book at her. Patricia's lawyer tried every trick in the book to get the charges reduced or dismissed. He argued that it was a misunderstanding, that Patricia had only been trying to help Emma inside out of concern for her health, that the video didn't show the full context. But the video didn't lie. Every word was recorded. Every action was clear. Emma's fear was obvious. Patricia's aggression was undeniable. The preliminary hearing was short. The judge watched the video once, his face growing darker with each passing second. When it ended, he looked at Patricia with unconcealed disgust. This case will proceed to trial. Bail is set at $50,000. The defendant is ordered to stay at least 500 feet away from the victims at all times. Patricia tried to argue. Her lawyer put a hand on her arm to silence her, but she shook him off. This is ridiculous. I was just enforcing HOA rules. I never meant to hurt anyone. She's making this a much bigger deal than it. Mrs. Holbrook, the judge interrupted, his voice like ice, I suggest you stop talking. Right now. Anything you say can and will be used against you at trial. And based on what I've seen today, you need all the help you can get. Patricia's mouth snapped shut. Her face turned red, then white. She looked like she might vomit. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No triumph. Just a cold, hard determination to see this through to the end. The civil suit was filed 2 weeks later. Marcus was thorough, he itemized every medical expense, every day Emma couldn't work, every moment of pain and suffering. The lawsuit sought $500,000 in damages. She'll try to settle, Marcus predicted. No one wants this to go to trial with that video as evidence. But if she's stupid enough to fight it, we'll bury her. Emma made it to 36 weeks. Then 37. Her blood pressure remained stable as long as she avoided all stress and stayed on her medications. At 38 weeks, Dr. Chen scheduled an induction. You've done amazingly well, she told Emma. But I don't want to push our luck any further. Let's meet this little girl. The induction started on a Tuesday morning. Emma labored for 14 hours, 14 long, exhausting, terrifying hours where I held her hand and whispered encouragement and prayed harder than I'd ever prayed in my life. At 11:47 p.m., Lily Rose Morrison entered the world. She was perfect. 6 pounds, 2 ounces of absolute perfection. She had Emma's delicate features and my dark hair. When the nurse placed her on Emma's chest and Lily opened her eyes for the first time, I felt something fundamental shift in my universe. This was everything. This tiny, perfect life. This was what mattered. This was what Patricia had almost stolen from us. Emma was crying, exhausted but radiant. She's here. She's really here. We did it, David. She's safe. You did it, I whispered, kissing Emma's forehead. You fought so hard for her. You're incredible. Lily made a tiny sound, and both Emma and I laughed through our tears. We'd made it. Against all odds, we'd made it. The criminal trial began when Lily was 6 weeks old. Emma was still recovering and couldn't attend, but I sat in that courtroom every single day. I wanted Patricia to see me. I wanted her to look across that room and know exactly what she'd almost destroyed. The trial lasted 4 days. The prosecution's case was airtight. They played the video for the jury, multiple times. They called Dr. Chen as an expert witness. She explained in excruciating medical detail how close we'd come to losing Lily. How Emma's blood pressure had spiked to life-threatening levels within minutes of the assault. How if I'd arrived even 5 minutes later, or if the stress had continued any longer, both Emma and Lily would likely have died. In my professional opinion, Dr. Chen testified, looking directly at Patricia, Mrs. Holbrook's actions created an immediate and life-threatening medical emergency. The assault directly caused the hypertensive crisis. Without it, Emma Morrison and her baby would have been fine that day. With it, they nearly died. Patricia's face went pale. Her lawyer tried to rehabilitate the testimony on cross-examination, but Dr. Chen was unshakable. They called me to testify. I walked the jury through everything, Emma's diagnosis, the doctor's orders, our precautions, the moment I saw Patricia grab my wife on the camera, the frantic drive to the hospital, the 12 days of terror wondering if my family would survive. Did you at any point believe Mrs. Holbrook intended to harm your wife? The prosecutor asked. I don't know what she intended, I answered honestly. But I know what she did. She put her hands on my pregnant wife and tried to physically remove her from our porch. She knew Emma was pregnant, it was obvious. She knew Emma was sitting there because she couldn't stand for long periods. And she didn't care. All she cared about was her rules and her authority. My wife's life didn't matter to her. My daughter's life didn't matter. Only her power mattered. In the gallery, I saw several jurors nodding. Patricia's defense was weak. Her lawyer tried to paint her as a dedicated community servant who'd made an error in judgment, but never intended harm. He called character witnesses who spoke about Patricia's years of HOA service, her attention to neighborhood beautification, her commitment to property values. But then the prosecution played the video again during closing arguments. And all those character witnesses meant nothing compared to the sound of Emma screaming in fear and pain, compared to the image of Patricia's hand clamped around a pregnant woman's arm, compared to the undeniable evidence of cruelty and callousness. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts, assault, reckless endangerment, inflicting emotional distress. Patricia collapsed in her seat, sobbing. Her lawyer tried to comfort her, but she was inconsolable. I felt empty. Not happy. Not vindicated. Just tired. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. The courtroom was packed. Emma came this time, with Lily in her arms. I'd asked her to stay home, worried about her stress levels, but she'd insisted. I need to see this, she'd said quietly. I need to know it's really over. Patricia was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit. She looked 10 years older than when this all started, her face gaunt, her eyes hollow. The judge reviewed the case, the evidence, the testimony. Then he looked at Patricia with cold contempt. Mrs. Holbrook, in my 30 years on the bench, I have rarely seen such a clear case of someone abusing their position of authority to harm another person. You assaulted a pregnant woman with a documented, life-threatening medical condition. You did this over something as trivial as where she chose to sit on her own property. Your actions nearly resulted in 2 deaths. The only thing that prevented that tragedy was Mr. Morrison's quick thinking and the excellent work of medical professionals. Patricia was crying silently, her shoulders shaking. You have shown no genuine remorse. Even during this trial, you continued to insist you were in the right, that you were simply doing your job. You blamed Mrs. Morrison for overreacting. You minimized the harm you caused. That tells me you learned nothing from this experience. The judge paused, letting the silence stretch. You are sentenced to 1 year in county jail, with the possibility of parole after 6 months if you complete anger management and community service requirements. You will pay restitution to the Morrison family for all medical expenses, lost wages, and emotional distress in the amount of $375,000. You will be on probation for 3 years following your release. And you will issue a formal, public apology to the Morrison family. The gavel came down with a sharp crack that echoed through the courtroom. Patricia let out a wail of despair. Her lawyer was already preparing appeals paperwork, but I could see in his face that he knew it was over. Emma reached for my hand and squeezed it. Lily slept peacefully in her arms, oblivious to the drama, perfect and safe and alive. It's over, Emma whispered. It's over, I agreed. Patricia served 8 months before being released on parole. I heard through the neighborhood network that she moved out of state, changing her name and starting over somewhere no one knew her story. Part of me hoped she found redemption. Part of me didn't care. We received the restitution payment in full. Patricia had to sell her house and liquidate her retirement savings to pay it. We put most of it into a college fund for Lily. Some we donated to organizations supporting high-risk pregnancies. We wanted something good to come from all this pain. The HOA dissolved 6 months later. Enough residents were fed up with the drama and restrictions that they voted to end it entirely. Our neighborhood became just that, a neighborhood, not a prison ruled by petty tyrants with measuring tapes and clipboards. We never moved. This was our home. Our porch was where Emma sat every evening now, with Lily on her lap, watching the sunset. No one bothered us. No one complained. Our neighbors waved and smiled and stopped to chat about normal things, the weather, upcoming holidays, how much Lily had grown. The camera stayed, though. Still mounted on our porch, still recording. Just in case. I never watched that old footage again. The memory was burned into my brain forever. But I also never deleted it. It was evidence of how fragile life is, how quickly everything can change, how important it is to fight for what matters. On Lily's first birthday, we threw a party in our backyard. No rules about decorations. No citations for noise. Just family, friends, laughter, and a little girl smashing birthday cake all over her face while her mother and I watched with tears of joy streaming down our faces. That night, after everyone had gone home and Lily was asleep in her crib, Emma and I sat on our porch, that same porch where everything had almost ended, and watched the stars. Do you ever think about that day? Emma asked quietly. Every day, I admitted. Every single day. Me too. Sometimes I have nightmares. I feel her hand on my arm, and I wake up panicking. I pulled Emma closer. But we're here. We made it. All 3 of us. Because you saved us. If you hadn't been watching that camera, if you hadn't come when you did. Don't, I said gently. Don't go down that road. What matters is what actually happened. You survived. Lily survived. We're together. Emma rested her head on my shoulder. I'm so grateful for that camera. I know that sounds weird, being grateful for a security camera. But it caught everything. It made sure she couldn't lie. It gave us justice. It did more than that, I said. It saved your life. It saved Lily's life. It made sure the truth couldn't be buried or twisted or ignored. We sat in silence for a while, just breathing, just being alive and together. The camera's little red light blinked steadily in the darkness. Still watching, still recording, still protecting us. And for the first time since that terrible day, I felt truly at peace. Justice had been served. But more importantly, we had survived. We had fought. We had won. And we would never, ever take a single moment for granted again.